women right now already have a fantasy, and it's not going up the Nile. It's right here in America. Jackie Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe was the greatest sex icon of the 1950s, the early 1960s. She was also a great comic actress and probably one of the best photographic models of that era. One of the things about Marilyn that is so extraordinary is the way this lady loved mystery and the way she loved to conceal who she was. She wore disguises a lot. And when she took off the makeup and put a scarf over her head, she didn't look like Marilyn. She could do what she wanted, go places she wanted, and have some very secret affairs with people. She was involved with many of the most famous men of her era, and she married two of them, Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller. She was very sweet, very gentle, and often in her private life, not particularly sexual. At the same time that she was all of those things, she was a very brilliant woman, and she wanted to be in control. With regard to her death, the circumstances are both clear and extremely elusive. We know what killed her because that's in the autopsy report. We don't know how the overdose of drugs occurred. I believe there to have been a cover-up on the part of the police department. They did not interview major witnesses. They did not interview the people who were there that night until a long time after. The specimens that had been taken and sent to the lab disappeared. Over time, a lot of people have gotten involved in which they speculate that the Kennedys killed her, the mafia killed her, the CIA killed her, Jimmy Hoffa killed her. You see, people have fabricated stories about what happened that night, and they have by and large been believed. So if the people who actually know what happened that night tell what they know, is anybody going to believe them at this point? Marilyn has become a kind of icon through which people want to interpret themselves. A lot of this began with Madonna in the 80s because one of Madonna's personas was definitely Marilyn. The 7-year-old photo where she's standing over the grate and the skirt is flying up. Those exquisite photographs that Milton Green took of her encourage a lot of interest in her because they're beautiful to look at. People said when she sent out her sexuality, it was irresistible. She could, in fact, radiate through her eyes deep into herself. And that would come out. All the feelings that she had at any particular point would come out. And that was the brilliance of Marilyn. Many people say to me, why are you teaching a class on Marilyn Monroe? And I say to them, she's as important as Eleanor Roosevelt. Why not Marilyn Monroe? She's very, very important.